Well, Michael, thanks so much for having me on the show. Apparently, the words weapons of mass destruction are not dirty words anymore. So there's this new commission out. It's got Graham, the Democrat, Jim Talent, Republican, former senator from Missouri. They did this World at Risk, say, shocker, weapons of mass destruction, it's a real threat. We need to worry about this. I think it's great. It's almost like because of Iraq, we can't talk about that anymore. And here we are, North Korea's got a nuclear weapon. They're building missiles. Iraq's building missiles. Apparently North Korea has enough material to make biological weapons. Al-Qaeda hasn't gone away. They still want to get these things. Hezbollah, Hamas. I'm glad people are talking about this. So, well, what do we do? Well, of course, there's a lot of people in Washington that have all the answers, and the answer is, let's just sign some more treaties. I think that's great. So the first thing Obama does is we're going to make the world safe, and we're going to negotiate with the Russians. That's his answer. It's interesting. So, like, for example, we have a nuclear non-proliferation treaty. Well, that worked really well, because both Iran and North Korea signed that, and now they have nuclear weapons. What should we be doing? And, I actually think it's a lot simpler than that. And the last thing you do is you start signing treaties. The first thing you do is you stop the people that want to kill you. So first of all, we have this non-state threat, right? We have people like al-Qaeda and other people that want to get these things. What do you do? Well, the answer is, you stop sitting around and scratching your head and saying, is it going to be a car bomb or a dirty bomb? What you do is you go out and you kill the terrorists. You get the leaders, you break up their networks, you stop their operations, you cut off their funding, you cut off your recruiting, and then you don't have to play Russian roulette trying to figure out how they're going to come at you. So that's number one. Number two is you get the bad stuff off the table. There is a marketplace out there. There was this guy, A.Q. Khan in Pakistan, who sold, Pakistani secrets to basically anybody that wanted them. And a lot of people want to go into this business, and, they want to basically trade in these technologies. Well, you got to stop that. We had a thing called the Proliferation Security Initiative that Bush started. Go out there, find out the people who are moving this stuff around, and stop it. Interestingly enough, Obama says, yeah, I'm all for that. So when North Korea had a ship that they thought, well, there might be some bad stuff on there, well, we said, well, we'll search it if they let us, and then we'll follow it, to kind of keep an eye on it. And then the irony of ironies is the ship that's following it's called the John McCain. So, I'm not sure he gets it, but, if he wants to stop this stuff, he's going to have to go out there and physically stop people from moving these things around. That's how we stopped A.Q. Khan. We just went out, we confiscated stuff, and we told the Pakistanis, look, you got to put this guy away so he can't hurt anybody.
But what do we do about North Korea and Iran?
Well, those are tough problems. But the first thing you do is you defend yourself. This government doesn't want to build missile defenses. They cut 15% from the program. Well, that's kind of stupid. I mean, if you can't figure out how to stop the guy from getting missiles and nuclear weapons, at least defend yourself. And then they don't want to buy F-22s. These are the fighters that can penetrate any air defense in the world and take anything out. But they don't want to buy them. Well, if you can't hold the enemy at risk, how are you deterring him? So you protect and defend yourself and your allies first. Okay, and then we can start to figure out how we're going to roll back North Korea and Iran, these other bad actors. So I'm glad that I can say W&D again, and people don't spit on me, and we're actually worried about these problems. But it really, really, really bothers me that the answer that this administration has is we're going to sign pieces of paper, because that worked really well, like with the non-aggression pact with Hitler. You sign papers with people you trust. You don't sign papers with people that are trying to kill you. So, thanks for having me. Thanks for thinking about this issue. It's really important that we get it out there before the American people again. But, I'm afraid what these guys in Washington try to do is everything. They're going to take a good issue, and then they're going to hijack it to do something bad, like turn our sovereignty over to the United Nations or, spend a lot of money on stuff that's really stupid and isn't going to make us safer. But thanks again for having me.
Well, thanks for the report, James. That's so. So I'll take calls on anything that you want, whatever, movies, food, what kind of engagement ring to buy, what's the best shoe made, the best boat. I feel like giving advice today. Mike, can you tell me what kind of shoes to buy? I've turned the age of 40 and my arches are starting. Please, if you call on, I'm quitting. George in Sacramento, welcome to the Savage Nation.
So, Father Savage, I have a 18-foot runabout in the Delta. Would it be a death wish for me to take that out through Benicia and run it into the San Francisco Bay around Alcatraz?
You're asking a loaded question. You used the word death wish. I didn't, right?
Yes.
George, on a calm day, yeah, but by the time you got from the Delta down to the Bay, the weather would change, right?
More than likely.
Yeah, and it changes very rapidly here, and I wouldn't recommend going out on the bay in an 18-foot boat unless your middle name is Nanook. All right, thanks. No, I wouldn't go out on the bay in an 18-foot boat. No, not me. No, sir. Next case. Good time, Charlie. I saw a piece of a movie I saw before. 1945, black and white, Turner Classic Movies, TCM. No, I forget it already, the name. Why did I bring it up? Well, I don't even know. Barbara Stanwyck, where she builds up a restaurant and the husband's dead at the end. She's like, the husband leaves her, she's broke, and she got a snotty daughter, and the other daughter dies. Very good movie. I love the early L.A. scenes in 1940s L.A. All the men wore a hat. Everyone had, like, haberdashers in those days. The women wore gloves and suits. The streets, there were no gangbangers with tattoos running around the city. It was an amazing city. Hats, gloves, normal. You caused trouble, the LAPD beat you up and threw you down into a waterway, and it could cut down crime in Burbank and Pasadena. They were garden centers. Now they're shooting galleries with drive-bys. Wonderful. Isn't it great? Isn't America a great place? Wonderful place. Oh, America's much better now that it's highly diverse, particularly California. Bankrupt and crime-ridden with broken roads. Tremendous. And that moron Strudel leader, the governor, says that illegal aliens who are sucking us dry have nothing to do with the deficit. You hear this? What a putz. What a schmuck. You know, if he had any brains, he would say, well, I don't account for the whole deficit, but a part of it. The schmuck comes out and says they account for none of it. The health care alone for the illegal aliens is about $18 billion a year. It just shows you what he got between the ears. You know, too many pastries over the years.
Savage.
He's difficult to describe. He sounds like my dad with a PhD.
The Savage Nation. Talk 910 KNEW.
Here we go. Here's what's on michaelsavage.com. The big story is that a comedian has win. Let me read you the headline. Comedian wins Senate seat. Senate now filibuster proof for Socialist Party USA. That would be none other than the comedy writer Al Franken, the ugly guy with big glasses I always mention, who writes for the so-called television comedians, is now an actual comedian in the Democrat side of the Senate. From the AP, 10 others to be charged in the Madoff probe. I think that's only the tip of the iceberg. From Rasmussen reports, Obama's disapproval rating climbs steeply. You won't read that in the morning paper. 5 states brace for shutdowns. That's right. You heard it. Not one of them will cut back on payments to illegal aliens in health or education. And by the way, in the state of California, 70% of the state budget goes for health and education payments. And by the way, we have the lowest educational success rate in the country. You know where the money's going? I don't. From Agence France-Presse, al-Qaeda warns France of revenge for burqa stance. That means, although France said they oppose the burqa, the radical killers in al-Qaeda are warning France that they're going to seek revenge. Apparently, their idea of women's liberation is to permit them to show their eyes. Going down michaelsavage.com, there are other stories. Obama, Hillary, Castro, and Chavez. You heard me. Chavez and Obama, Hillary and Castro, are a new leftist oligarchy for the Americas. Witness the Honduras. You better wake up before it's too late. And by the way, Farrah Fawcett's jailed son was granted permission to attend her funeral. Why do all of these Hollywood stars produce such wrecks for children? 1-800-449-8255, michaelsavage.com. I have a number of other personal things I'm going to talk about. I may as well do it now, since you're not interested in the news. That's all. The news you can get anywhere. You can go to the Internet and get it on Drudge. You can get it on this one, that one. You heard it all before already on Blonny. Blonny and Wallbang already covered it and then promoted their television show. They gave you a little job. Use the radio platform to push the TV show. But let me start with food, because that's something that I specialize in. And first of all, I had the best Chinese meal of my life. Yes, my friends own the restaurant. No, I get nothing for this. I haven't been there in over a year. But, you know, there's such a difference between Chinese food that you know and high-end cuisine that it's worth talking about. The reason I went is because they gave me a private dining room for 4 people. So I wasn't seen. I was not even heard.